Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of this series where we hope to shine the spotlight on some of Edmonton's unseen visionaries. My name is Cristina, and today I am joined by
Donna, Montrose Historian Laureate for the City of Edmonton.
Thank you so much for being here, Donna. We wanted to start off by asking you if you could tell us about what you do in common terms.
I'm a history advocate. I've always been, most of my adult life. And so what I do is a lot of stories. I'm a storyteller. A lot of the publications I have online would say that. And so I tell stories about people. People tell their stories to me, and I publish them.
Excellent, well said. And could we ask you what drew you towards history, and kind of where did this all begin?
It began in my childhood, actually, and because I was born on in a colonial territory on one of the Caribbean islands, and I was always fascinated by relationships among the 29 different Caribbean islands. And so growing up in school, the emphasis was always on British literature, British culture. You didn't learn anything about yourself. But I was always curious about the other side of life. And so I had, from young, a passion to study history.
Excellent. So this all began since you were a child. Over these years, have you found a large or surprising discovery that you've made?
Yes, I was really intrigued by the commonality with a lot of other colonial areas around the world, how common our experiences were as colonial territories, But we would have common ground in the Commonwealth. We were the Commonwealth of Nations, all British territories at that time. Prior to that, we were French or Spanish or Dutch, or we had different owners in different periods of history, but it all influenced what my drive was to understand more about the culture that is still very evident in the life and times of the people of the region.
Excellent. So a lot of looking for understanding. Have you noticed that there are any misconceptions about history or historians that you'd like to address?
Yes. In fact, as we grew older and as knowledge developed, you realize you have to unlearn things that you learned because they didn't really apply to your life. And so you unlearn some things in order to learn what is correct. So I went through that period. A lot of us went through, me and others like me, that period of re-education, in order to understand where resources in the world come from, who owns them, that kind of thing.
Do you have a favorite period of history, and if you could explore it, what would it be?
Well, I've concentrated a lot on post-colonial history, and so I thrive in that realm, and I write stories about that period of time. And like I recently visited a cocoa plantation, so in my mind I'm writing a story about the favorite chocolate. We all love chocolates, but chocolate doesn't grow on a tree here. But I brought back from the Caribbean, I was there 2 weeks ago, a cocoa pod, which is where the main ingredient is produced in a pod that looks like a pear. So those are the stories I tell too about culture and transference of culture and heritage.
Excellent. And just a little bit more about yourself. Do you have any favorite hobbies or pastime activities?
I play in a music band. I paint on Fridays, every Friday. I paint with a group of people. I do watercolors mainly. And I have other interests that, inspire me because I take life not too seriously. I don't take myself too seriously, So I just enjoy life. And so music helps me. I sing in a band and play a drum.
That's lovely. Good way to spend the time. So what are 3 things that you cannot live without?
I can't live without community. I can't live without family. And I can't live without having an environment where people are respected and people are allowed to thrive, whatever age you are. I thrive in a community like that, whatever the complexity of that community is.
So you mentioned community. If you could meet 3 people from history, who would it be?
Nelson Mandela would be one. In fact, in September, I'm headed to the prison where he stayed this coming September. And there are other people in history that I have the highest regard for, like Malcolm X, whose mother was from Grenada, a neighboring Caribbean island. And I have a third list, but I won't mention it right now, but there's a woman up there, you know.
Excellent. So it sounds like you have a lot of stories to share with us. Is there a particular moment or story that sticks with you, something that really is unique or hits differently?
I think arriving in Canada as a student, I had never left the Caribbean before. And that is when I found out I was Black. So that transformed my life and the value of self. So that was 1969, September. So now you know how old I am. Oh, you have an idea. So I left the Caribbean and came to school. I came to post-secondary school. So all I was interested in is going to school. But when I landed, based on the conditions that I encountered in housing and in education, I realized that there's another life out here. You're being judged in a way that you didn't anticipate. So that was a life-changing moment for me. And my eyes opened wider, and they've been open ever since.
Could you identify a person or experience that really changed your way of life?
Living in Michigan, I was in a community organization with Rosa Parks. And at the time, she was a very humble and very ordinary person in terms of her demeanor. Later on, she became a national figure in the history of the United States. And I was really impressed with how she conducted her own life struggle. You know, not sitting at the back of the bus, she put up a whole struggle about that, which impacted the entire United States, but that never occurred to her as life-changing for anyone else. But she was one of my heroes.
That's a very fascinating connection. Could you tell us about one lesson that you've learned over the years?
That respect for everyone is a key value that I always underscore. No matter who you are, what age you are, you need to treat people with respect and people's experiences. People live according to their conditions and their circumstances. And until you know their life story, don't judge. You know, so that is something that I always try to do with others, you know, as well. Whoever you are, whatever color you are, I don't judge. Because I don't know your life story. I don't know why you are autistic. I don't know your circumstances. So who am I to judge? You know, so I treat everybody as equal, you know, as with respect.
Very well said. And finally, if you could tell one thing or have a message to share with the people of Edmonton, what would it be?
Arriving in Edmonton, constantly are new communities of people, whether they're coming from the Philippines or from other countries in the world. People are coming to make a contribution to Canada. So including my community of people who look like me. There are a lot of people I can point to in Edmonton who, like the Chancellor of Grant McEwen, who was a student at U of A, who's from Barbados, and others who have made stellar contributions to creating this community. And I see all of us as equal, you know, and so the lesson I would want to impart is don't judge people until you know their circumstances, because a lot of us as students didn't really have wealth in order to support our post-secondary education. So we had to, you know, find different ways in which to survive in this environment, because we didn't all have government scholarships, you know. So knowing others' circumstances, or probe before you judge, you know. I can't leave this at home, you know. So this identifies, sometimes people judge you on sight because they don't know who you are or what you've done with life. And so it is unfortunate when that happens, if it's negative. But I always ask people to give us a chance to prove who we are. We're not here to cause harm or to disrupt unless it's warranted. So that way we build a better society if we're all on the same page. If we are, you know, my closest friends are my neighbors, and they're white, both sides, We hang out together, we party together, we drink beer or rum or whatever. They party at my house. And so that's how I live in my community. Everybody passing on the street, I know. Because I call out to kids, I call out to elders. Namaste, or I would say, or ni hao, whatever language I assume they speak. I set up, I bond with my neighbors. So that's my message, that we are all trying to build community and build society. It's one common front, it's one Canada.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us, and thank you for your time, Donna. We really enjoyed hearing about your journey and the impact that you have on our community.
Thank you.
Thank you as well to our viewers. That concludes this episode, and we will see you next week.